We're joined by the Blizzards. Well, two parts of the Blizzards because we have Bressie and Deck with us. Guys, how are you keeping today?
Really good. Really
Living the
good.
dream, I think.
Living the dream. Love it. Your new single out is called Friction Burns. I watched the music video to this just before we came on and started chatting. Will I tell you what I kind of got from the music video?
No.
It depends.
No, it's good. I promise. I actually think I maybe thought about it too much, you know? So I kind of got this feeling that it was about people getting back up, right? When they're not exactly feeling their best, but they, you know, when you're not feeling your best, but you decide you're getting back up and you're getting back out there, and then you start feeling a little bit better, and then you kind of let go of what was making you feel bad to begin with. Am I majorly off there?
Well, I think actually the video and the song have slightly two different meanings. And the video is kind of the song itself is about that fear of kind of committing to something or somebody when it hasn't gone very well for you in the past. That idea of just letting go and just embracing it and embracing the risk of it. And the idea of the friction burns is the idea that we kept holding ourselves back from doing that. But the actual video was more a kind of play on the industry, because when we were making the video, we were kind of going through that period where the government were just making a hames of literally every decision when it came to the events industry. And we just felt kind of slightly disposable as an industry across the board. And it was more about the idea of just let us go, let us get back, let us do what we do. And I think that kind of was the idea of the video. And I just creatively, it was just, how do we do that without coming across like some self-righteous, you know, moany band? But I loved it. Like, and it was so different from us as well. Like, you know, walking in and in kind of like let's try this, something that the most important thing with videos really is that they do marry the song as well. You can't just have this independent, pointless video and pointless song. So yeah, I'm absolutely delighted with it.
Yeah, and I didn't get it that you were coming across self-righteous whatsoever. You know, I obviously thought something completely different about it. Deck, how was making the music video for you?
Oh, it was brilliant. Yeah, it's great to get back doing things that I'm not overly comfortable with, and so I'm all happy behind the drum kit. But people start saying, "Put on this weird suit jacket and walk into the pond." You're like, okay, creative intent here. So I know I buy in fully to it. The most part of it, you know, but it's just good to be like it's probably the most unenjoyable part for me, really. I love gigging, I love playing drums, I love playing music, the sonic of it, the noise of it, everything. And then just that whole the longevity that takes a video to get like 12 hours of shots into 4 minutes of a video, I just can't grasp it. I'm like, why do we have to do this again? I just did it really well the first time. Like, this is the fifth time I'm doing this, you know. But apart from that, it was all Bressie's just looking at me going, yeah, this is so true. He's the most impatient man in world history.
yeah. And there's the kind of thing about it.
Like, he's the creative person, so he's like, I know where we're going with this. And I'm like,
I had no power over that video. That was the beauty of it. Usually I'm very much hands-on when it comes to any elements of the creative side of it. And I kind of let go on that. And it was like Louise and the Bronte sisters and Wolf, the three of them. So like Deck, I had no idea what we were getting into until we got there. I knew I was getting into a pond. That was about it. And like, that was the idea of, you know, to me, the whole premise, that was the most nervous part. It's like, if I'm going to turn up here and this is going to be an absolute disaster. And, you know, it wasn't. It was a really great vibe. And it's just great to get back being like, creativity is, you know, the thing about it is like right now, Isabel, there's this big push towards creativity. Well, what's the point? You know, why are you making a video? No one watches videos anymore. Everyone's on TikTok. I said, the point is that if you're a band, you have to be creative. You sometimes you don't worry about whether it's the right thing to do in terms of platforms or who's going to watch it. Sometimes you just need to honor what you're trying to do as a band and with a piece of music. And that's what we did here. And I'm delighted with it. But it was Oliver Cromwell's old house, by the way, that we were shooting in.
That's interesting.
It was interesting. I could imagine the lad turning in his grave, or big like literally lad, after all his, you know, Catholicating ways that these lads are just taking over to do a video in his old gaff.
I love that.
Oliver Connell, the fellow used to play rugby with. You know?
He's done well for himself. He owns a mansion in Westmead.
Anyway.
So you're saying it's great to be back out there again, and we're great to have you back. But obviously, lockdown, you know, took a long time for us. Was that in ways quite a nice period for you guys as a band because you were able to focus on just making the music? Or were you like, no, like we're really, really missing being out and about and missing the gigging and the live element to it?
I think it's different perspectives for all of us. You know, I think like Brezzie's very kind of creatively active person. I'm not so much, like, I don't spend day in, day out, but I do love it in phases, So I think the time out for me was really good. Like I enjoyed it. And as well as that, I think prospectively, we all had our own kind of things going on at home and worries with businesses or otherwise, So you were kind of just caught up in that and letting the Blizzard thing just sit on the deck and wait for us to come back, But the break is always good. Like,
Yeah.
absence makes the heart grow fonder. And I think, getting away from it and, maybe we were getting a bit tiresome at a pre-pandemic. We were getting a bit kind of jaded with music and this, that, and the other. And then having the break kind of gave us a new lease of life and a new kind of way about where we wanted to go with things, which is just be a bit more natural and less kind of pressure on results and stuff like that, and just do things that are good for us and good for the band. And hopefully that then can be like, come across on the other side of it really positive, So that's kind of our focus. But yeah, it was good. It just put a nice emphasis on how important it is for us individually to be involved in the band and playing music and stuff. And getting away from seeing Bressie was a good thing,
Bressie, how did you feel about that?
Yeah, what getting away from me was really good too. I think the thing about me with the whole aspect of it was I just wanted to go back to the garage band. That's what I love. That's how I started. That's where my love of music came from. Standing in a bedroom or like Dec's old childhood bedroom or a garage or whatever it is, rehearsal space and kind of jamming again. I think music, the longer you're in the industry, the more you get tainted by it sometimes, and you have to feel you have to honor certain things all the time rather than go back. Why did you start? Why did you pick up a guitar in the first place? And that was what I love to do with the Friction Burns track. Is I remember working with Aidan, the guy I kind of produced it with, and he was like, it just needs to sound like you plugged in and you played. And I went, it's exactly how it needs to sound. And I think a lot of music now is immensely produced and it sounds brilliant and it's great and it's really beautiful and polished, but we're not a beautiful polished band. It's not what we want to be. We want to be a little rawer and a bit more kind of organic, and that's what Friction Burns was.
And so what are the plans now for the rest of the year? You're back with a bang with the new single, which we're going to play in a minute. Are we going to see dates from you? You know what I mean? Are you going to be getting out and about? Are we going to see you in Cork? I mean, hello.
Yeah, I think we've plans for the new year to kind of, between now and Christmas, we've a collective kind of 6 or 7 songs in the EP that we've put together, and a couple need to be finished off and recorded. And then next to this single, we have another single lined up, and we're just keen to kind of keep that creative flow in terms of the studio vibe. So we go in every couple of weeks, we do a day or two in the studio, we kind of get into the mixing of that track and back out of it. So once that process is over and we have a product, which is like a 7-6 track EP that we're kind of very, very comfortable with, then we can kind of push on to the next phases, which is getting it out there and performing it, So hopefully early next year, nothing kind of penciled in yet because we're all just crazy lives in the background of this stuff. But early next year, we hope to kind of put a few dates together for kind of national stuff and get out and about again, But for the minute, it's just all about kind of the studio-based stuff, creating the music and keeping to that kind of cycle that we're in at the minute, which is really positive, actually. So it's cool.
And so, right, so at the moment, I'm covering for another radio presenter. I'm normally on a little bit later than he is. I'm 7 to 10 and he's 4 to 7. So I'm going to be putting this interview out in the local legend segment, right? And we normally have Cork people on for this, but I've made an exception for the two of you today, right? But I suppose I wanted to finish the interview on a Cork note, right? So I'm sure you have one of you must have a really, really good Cork story for me, like, a time where you were like doing a gig and it was like the best gig of all time with a Cork crowd, or just a moment that you had in Cork that you just remember all the time as one of your best memories of all time.
Of all time.
Open Cork.
No pressure.
Of all time. I do remember a gig we did in Cork, and I'll never forget. It was the wildest. Like it was one of those kind of like, are we safe? Or are we having the time? It's that kind of perfect line. It was Arthur's Day. Do you remember that gig we did in that bar deck? It's a famous bar in London, but it was Arthur's Day, and we were sent down to Cork and we were delighted. And I remember thinking before we went on, I'm not sure we can go on here. And there was like people licking the stage, and there was people like they were so drunk they were falling over the monitors, and like it was like 10 o'clock at night and people were still they thought they missed the toast, the cheers Arthur. And then I realized it was like like I was thinking, are we not meant to be drinking Murphy's here? This is all. It was an entirely different kind of messed up kind of situation. But it was one of the first times I ever thought to myself, I'm not sure it's safe to go on here. And then we went on, and I kind of said, right, we got to embrace it. And two lads picked me up at the front, and I think the two of them looked at me and went, we have it. Like, I think, you know, when you're a bit drunker, your depth perception and your kind of ability to read an audience is hard. And they kind of looked at me and went, he looks skinny. And then not realizing I'm 16 and a half stone. And one of them got me up about a foot, and the other one said, oh, I got to get, and tried to get under. And basically the whole gig started with me on top of these two lads. But Cork is always...
I have no recollection of what happened.
Yeah, we
do remember Arthur's Day and a lot of Guinness. And after that, I think, and Cork, obviously. So after that, I just can't, it's all very hazy, but Bressie remembers more of it than I do, obviously.
The Defeco, I just remember the wild, but I do remember as well in Cork, I've had apart from gigs, I did a lot of my training in Cork, West Cork, when I was doing a lot of like endurance stuff, and that's where I used to go down. And I remember being sent down I had dislocated both my ankles in an accident, and I was brought down to West Cork, down to Skull. And my coach, I didn't know what he was doing, but he basically put me on my bike about 4 weeks after this dislocated ankles, right. And he put masking tape around my ankles, and he pinned me into my bike, and he goes, there's no traffic lights for 2 hours, and he pushed me off. And that was like, literally had to cycle around Cork for 2 hours and then swim across Skull to thing. Like, but I just think Cork for me has been where I've done most of my kind of training and stuff. It's just the wildness, the madness of it. But yeah, it's kind of the weird second life I've had. But meant to be going down again in next week. So, but I'm not gonna. Yeah. So yeah, Cork is kind of. It's also one of the first gigs we sold out. I think Cypress Avenue was one of the first gigs we sold out. We opened the first Cypress Avenue when the redone, the amazing venue. Yeah. They've done it, but that night they had a bit of an issue. I think what was it, their air conditioning deck?
Oh yeah.
The first night, and we were in the middle of, and we just saw this water dripping off the ceiling. Going, I think I really love Cork, but I'm not willing to get electrocuted here. And I think they pulled it for a few minutes, but it was just water dripping down on the stage. I thought it was pretty rock and roll.
It was just part of your like stage effects.
Yeah, it was like that Rihanna thing from the X Factor.
Oh, that sounds really cool. Yeah. I would have just gone with it. Like, I mean, if it electrocutes me, it electrocutes me. It's part of the stage.
Yeah. You end up in fucking Fermoy or something because you get blown across the stage. But yeah, no, it's a slick. They've done an unreal job.
Yeah, it looks really, really cool.
That venue. Yeah, we love it. Like.
Come here, guys. Thank you so much for taking the time out to chat to me today. It was lovely to catch up. Hopefully we'll chat again soon. Best of luck with the new single, Friction Burns. We're going to play it now. And keep in touch. We want to see and hear more of you for the rest of the year and in 2022 as well.
Brilliant.
Thanks for all your support. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, guys.